Now, it's just like a fly just literally appeared. I was looking right there and a fly literally just appeared. Okay. So, in a previous video, you guys, I had talked about I was eating and then there was a fly in there, and I mentioned that whenever I do like ghostly vlogs, a fly will just appear in thin air. My windows aren't open. I live on the third floor. It is the most ridiculous thing. I don't have food sitting out, and a fly just literally appeared in thin air, and now he's like floating around. You guys might see him. But what happens later though is that they always die on my pillow. And this is where I film my ghostly vlogs. I can't believe it. He just appeared. Okay. Welcome back, you guys. I'm Tassie, and for this video, for my ghostly update vlog, I'm going to be talking about Hmong shamans. Now, whenever I reference shaman, I am referring just to Hmong shamans, only because I don't have any experience with other ethnic races that have shamans as well. Keep that in mind. Now, understand from the get-go, there is a lot of debate and politics involved when it comes to shamans in our community, and I'll talk more about that so you guys can get an understanding of that. This video, it is strictly my own experiences because it's just to get to know me better, and don't take it like as an attack against any branch or form of shamanism, because there is a lot of debate about that as well. And, as I go about this, I'll explain a lot more in detail just about Hmong shamans, really what they are. And this is not a video on how to become a shaman. It is not a video about me offering any shaman services or any of the shamans that I personally know, their services. So basically, what is a Hmong shaman? Hmong shamans, they are chosen individuals who can actually communicate and enter the spirit world. Why would one go there? So it's really going to depend on the individual, the chosen individual, what their abilities are. But we'll get into that later. Like you could have somebody who's extremely clairvoyant. Somebody could just look at you and know your past, present, future. They could also have certain tools that they prefer, like to look at your past, present, future, or any questions you might have. Sometimes they like to use incense sticks, flowers, candles, a deck of cards, even tarot cards. So basically, just exactly what you would think a clairvoyant person is. There are those shamans who are extremely clairvoyant. There is a huge debate in the Hmong community that those type of shamans are not real shamans, but I definitely disagree with that. I do believe that they are shamans, because what is a shaman but somebody who can communicate with the spirit world? So that is definitely something that I believe is a shaman. Now, I'll get into that later so you guys can understand why I say that. Then you also have the shamans with an ability who are very, very good at killing demons. But when I say killing demons, it's really healing. It's anything involving healing, splitting spirits, fixing graves. Yes, there are some shamans who have the ability to go to the woods. They'll just walk into the woods and come out with a ton of medicine. Like, they know just by looking at a leaf on the ground how it's used and how it will cure somebody. And they know the methods on how to use it so that it will cure somebody too. So it's like a huge spectrum of different abilities. So how are these individuals chosen? All right, because you can't just sign up, and there is no school to go to where you're like, I'm going to become a shaman. Okay, you are definitely chosen, and people would explain it as like your ancestors. Typically, it's something that's been recycled in the family, where the ancestors keeps coming to the next generation and finding them. And the simplest way is, the heavens choosing you. And even then, it can go deeper as far as, you were either born to do it, or else for some people, it will happen to them at a later point in their life. A lot of times people, it won't happen to them until, like they're married and they have a child. And the reason for that is because they need the support system, because for shamans in general, it's very important that you have support. So that's typically the scenarios and when you might have it. So that's how come you'll have shamans who are very, very young. They're like children and they're a shaman. And then you'll have somebody who's like your grandfather's age and then they're just starting their journey. So it's very, very different for everybody. And that also goes into with that there are no two shamans who are exactly alike. So you're never going to have two shamans who have the exact same ability, the exact same sight, the exact same everything. So it's always going to be very different. Now, as far as like gifts and abilities, like why is it that some shamans are extremely clairvoyant and others are just really good at destroying demons? You have the shamans who are in between as well, who can have the clairvoyance and who can destroy demons. So these abilities that I'm talking about, and remember, this is not a guide on how to become a shaman. So the abilities are basically what we would call your kuning. And kuning, the term translated in English, is basically spirit guides. So a shaman basically has spirit guides, and it's not like it's one or five of them. Okay, there's a ton of them, you guys. And the spirit guides all have their own tasks or their own ability, right? And then they will come to their chosen shaman, and their ability will then help the shaman. So, if somebody's very clairvoyant, it's because they have those type of kuning that's very clairvoyant, that sees everything, all right? And then the same thing applies with the ones who are very good at destroying demons and fixing graves and splitting spirits and everything. They have the kuning that are very strong and that they can do the heavy load. All right, so with such huge gaps in abilities, right? It becomes very tricky as far as it's just a hot mess. I mean, you're gonna have a general practitioner, but their specialty is not in everything. And that's typically when you would need to seek out a specialist in just that genre, just that area, So, like a gynecologist is not going to have a lot of information on neuroscience or something, So it's just very, very different. Like you may have the basic foundations and understanding of it, but for a specialist, you would have to seek somebody out who specializes in something. So there is a huge gap in the shaman world as far as different shamans. So people will literally travel thousands of miles just to find that one specialist who can help them. It's very extreme. Now, with how I mentioned about like kuning and your spirit guides, so some shamans will spend their entire life trying to get certain types of spirit guides because they want certain abilities. No shaman can ever just choose what abilities they have. You are given naturally the abilities you're supposed to have, and those abilities will come very easy to you. And there's that fly, and those abilities will it'll be very easy for you to come by and to understand and be very good at it. Now, let's say somebody who is not clairvoyant. They will always try and get somebody who can, a spirit guide who can talk to them, who can show them things because they're struggling in their journey. They're struggling, like imagine you're blindfolded the entire time and you have to do these tasks, but you don't know what you're supposed to do because you can't see, you can't hear anything. Now, that's very, very hard in the shaman world because of the huge gap in abilities. Like you're going to witness a shaman who's excelling amazingly well, and you just don't understand why they are getting it and why it seems so easy for them when you can't see or do anything and you're stumbling along your whole journey. You have no confidence in anything you're doing. You don't really know how to communicate with your spirit guides. So it becomes very hard and very tricky in the shaman world. And I will say that, I do know that there are shamans who will purposely go out. Boy, you better leave me alone. Sorry. So I will say that there are shamans who will purposely go out trying to find certain gifts. Now, let's say they find that spirit guide that can give them the gift they really, really want, but they were not meant to have it. You will never be able to control them. So when you're a shaman and you have spirit guides, you have to be able to control them so they behave. Unlike this fly is just everywhere. Okay. So when you're a shaman and you are given these spirit guides from the heavens, you have to know how to take care of them and how to control them. If you do not know how to communicate and control them, they will run wild. Now, say you take some spirit guides that were not meant for you, that you're not supposed to have, but you take them anyways because you really, really want it. Typically what happens is those spirit guides will drive you crazy because you cannot rein them in. You cannot control them. You don't know when to use their abilities and when not to. And then eventually they will just escape you. And then you're sitting there wondering where they go. How come you don't feel their presence, or how come you're not getting these abilities? It's because they won't stay with you. You are not their true master. And that's why they won't listen to you and they won't do things. So that's very hard. This fly, man. So basically, it makes it very, very hard on the shaman journey. And, there are a lot of rules that shamans have. Well, some of them are aware of. Basically, in the spirit world, that you can and can't do. And there's also a lot of punishment that comes if you don't listen. And basically you're told once and that's it. You're not reminded again. So if you just break the rule, you're going to get punished for it. So other differences between shamans, you're going to have the shamans who typically, this is what they would call that fly, man. So other differences you're going to have between shamans is going to be the atypical. So the atypical, what people really consider a shaman, are basically the ones who can sit on a bench, and they have a bench, they have tools, they can shake, and that's what you would consider entering the actual spirit world, because those are the shamans who can host whole ceremonies. Like if there's a demon terrorizing the family, whenever somebody is pregnant, before they give birth, you have to split the spirits. So it's like, it's like those are the shamans who can actually do it. So people would consider them to be the real shamans. So then the other type you're going to have are the ones who don't shake, who don't have a bench, or they typically just pray, or they'll chant and they stand and they're just at their shrine. Now, those are the ones who typically can't host a whole ceremony. Those are big differences for people when they consider what shaman to go to. Different abilities, different forms of practicing. So it's just very, very different. And then a very big difference would definitely be the Nenglao and the Nengxia. That's basically the old shaman style and then the new shaman style. So, there's huge differences in that as well, because for the old ways, they were not accustomed to those who are clairvoyant, who can see spirits, who can hear spirits. They are not used to that. So when they find out about the new shaman style, where they can see and all that stuff, they definitely believe that it's evil, that it's demonic, and that it's not true to the original way. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole debate about that, but I mean, I can't understand why anybody would choose this. Like, I mean, like, how does all of this relate to me, basically? So initially, I didn't want to tell a lot of people about this. This isn't something that I really wanted to say, but a lot of people who know me personally in real life, like they who were close to me, who were with me during this time, I used to be a shaman. So I used to be a shaman for a long while. And it has also been a really long while now since I no longer am a practicing shaman. So when I say I'm no longer a practicing shaman and how I was one, let me go back a bit. So if you guys remember in my vlog about Michael the Demon, and I'll link it in the description below, you guys can watch that one. I talk a bit about me growing up in my life, and all of the incidences I've run across. Basically, when I was 5 years old, so I am the shaman type that I was born to do it. So I was 5 years old when I saw these demons in my living room and they grabbed my wrist. And the next day when I woke up, both of my wrists were broken. So when I was 5, I was supposed to be a shaman. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Okay, like, you're just learning English. Okay. they took me to this Cambodian family, and the Cambodian family healed my wrists. Now, I became a shaman. I accepted it to get rid of Michael the demon. And to this day, Michael the demon, he's very much alive, you guys. he's he's alive. And my Huaneng, by accepting being a shaman, they actually protect me from him. So what type of shaman am I? So I am the type that has a bench and can enter the spirit world, can do the whole shebang. And I do have the clairvoyance, and I also have this fly, man. I'm about to beat you. And I do have the demon killing skills. Now, I am no longer a practicing shaman though, and Lord have mercy. Like, in hindsight, now I'm older and I look back. Okay, well, we'll go back to that. So, what kind of shaman was I? So, I was actually the shaman who did the whole shebang. You know, like I had the bench, I had the tools, I entered the spirit world. I've done a lot of ceremonies. I have a lot of ceremonies. I used to have a student. I did tarot cards. I could read and see the future, past, present. You could tell me about somebody and I had never met them in real life, and I would know all this information about the individual. I could also go and, split spirits, blah, 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 do everything, destroy demons. It was very, very intense. I'll definitely have to say that. But it felt very, very natural to me when I actually became one. And I remember when I accepted it, it was a shocker to everybody. I think I just shock people a lot in life because when I became one, like, I am so Americanized. People don't even know I'm Hmong, first off. A lot of people, they thought it was very, very unorthodox of me that I ended up becoming a shaman. And I think in hindsight, it was probably understanding where they're coming from because they didn't know my experiences. They didn't know about Michael the demon and how I was terrified of him and I was trying to get rid of him. And so it was a lot of things that led up to me becoming a shaman. Now, when I first accepted it, I thought I had a tumor. Like, I thought I was going to die, you guys, because, growing up, I was aware of shamans and the whole shaman community, but not like this. Like, it's one thing when oh, they're a shaman. But when it happens to you, especially like for somebody like me who never thought I'd ever do this, never even assumed I was one, I thought I was going to die. Seriously. Like, I walked around completely depressed. Like, I would just stare out the window and not see anything because I seriously thought I was going to die. And I kept telling myself, like, I need to go to the doctor. I need to go get an MRI done. I probably have a tumor. There's probably something wrong with me. It was very, very hard for me to accept it, you guys. So I guess as shocking as it was to everybody else, they didn't see how hard it was for me, like when I actually accepted it. So, when I became a shaman, it was it wasn't a great time for me when I became one. It really changed me, and I don't think it changed me for the better. When I stopped, I definitely think I became better. But people from my comments, you guys have made comments about, I should be a medium, I should help people, etc., etc. You don't really know what goes all into that. It's extremely emotionally draining. It's very lonely. It's a very lonely life being a shaman. It is very lonely. Like, in the Hmong community, yes, you do get perks for being a shaman. You get the respect. People come to you for your services. And there are a lot of shamans who like to be well known. So it's very hard because I was so young and Americanized. If you excel at being a shaman, it can be kind of dangerous because you're going to have people who are like your parents' age who are dying to have an amazing shaman journey. And they are struggling. They are struggling really hard. They can't even raise their shrines to their full levels. So when I became a shaman, I was done in 3 months. And that actually takes people years to finish. But I was supposed to do it when I was 5 years old. So when I entered the spirit world for the first time, all I did was get yelled at because I took so long. So it was like they were rushing me to get me to learn everything as fast as I could. I had to do it every single day, you guys. What is it? I had to go into the spirit world every single day. And that's you shaking on a bench and you're going and they're teaching you all sorts of stuff. I had to do it every single day. If I didn't, they would punish me. And your spirit guides can punish you. So if you're not a good shaman and you don't listen to them, they will make you physically go into pain. So if I didn't do it, they would punish me. My teacher, because like you actually have a teacher who oversees you just to make sure you're not going crazy and that you're perfectly fine and you know what you're doing, basically, because once they raise you to your final level, you're on your own. You could have your own students, but then everybody will remember that was your original teacher, so their teaching will be reflected badly if you become a bad student. So, and your teacher will decide and agree when you can raise your shrine. So like I was raised really fast, and a lot of people, they saw me as somebody who's really stupid because I was so Americanized. I can hardly speak Hmong, okay? Like, I can speak Hmong easily to children because I don't get nervous. But when I'm speaking to an adult, I get really nervous speaking Hmong because the pronunciation in the Hmong language is so important, or else you are pronouncing in a completely different word. So but when my spirit guide spoke for me, I spoke perfect Hmong. Like, you would think I was a pro. So it was very hard during the time when I was a shaman, because when people saw me excelling, they didn't believe that I could just be good. They thought that my teacher favored me. They thought that my teacher was giving me extra gifts, were teaching me extra stuff. They don't teach you nothing, you guys. For anybody who's a shaman who may be watching this, you'll probably know. They don't teach you anything. All they do, they'll teach you like how to perform the ritual when you're not in the spirit world. Like, anybody can tell you this is the point where you raise the rope. This is the point where you have to burn this and that. So it's just like anybody could tell you that. But when you actually enter the spirit world, you have to know what you're doing, and your spirit guides tell you what you're supposed to do. But because I am part of Ningxia, where I'm part of the New Age shaman, I hear the voices, I see them physically, and they will tell me exactly what to do, and I do exactly what they tell me to do. And then I'm done with the ceremony. And it's because I was also clairvoyant, it really drained me, because you would see things about people that you don't need to see and you don't want to see, because after you've seen it, it changes your perspective of them. Somebody who's always been so kind and so nice to you, when you see them, you see things from their life, because everybody has an evilness to them. Everybody has a bad and dark side. Piss somebody off enough and it'll come out. But when you're seeing all of that and just how vicious people can be, it makes you not want to be around them, because now you're starting to feel like they're fake. They're not real. It was very, very difficult. So I actually went through a long time where I didn't like to be around people. I shut my doors because, when you're a medium or a shaman, whatever you want to call it, you're supposed to help people. But there's a lot of politics that go into it where I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to open my shrine to people. And like every new year, you have to close your shrine and reopen it. And I just wouldn't reopen it. Because, so the people who thought my teacher was favoring me, but they thought I was super dumb. There's no way in the hell I knew how to do the things that I do. So, but what happens is that I can hear that they're saying all this stuff to me about me because my spirit guides are telling me. They're saying all this stuff. This is how they really feel about you. But then they'll come knocking on my door for services and they'll ask me to heal them. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? But that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to heal them. And it's just, there's so much politics involved in the shaman world. So finally, like I wouldn't open my shrine. I just wouldn't do it. It's just, it wasn't worth it. It definitely wasn't worth it. I did not want a name for myself because other clans were coming to seek out my services, and I refused to go because I'm I'm like this little kid. Like, can you, okay, the problem with that is, say you are part of a clan, like you have a family, you have shamans in your family. Imagine your family going outside of your clan seeking help from this little girl who is like Americanized as heck, can't even speak Hmong properly, and she's going to do the ceremony for you. Like, really? Like, that's exactly what it was. And the problem is, the more you go out, and we would say don't, when you go out to do ceremonies and events for people, the more people see you, the more people learn about you and hear about you. And then all of a sudden you got people all over the place coming looking for you. It's just like, no. I accepted it to get rid of Michael. And unless you've had a demon who terrorizes you and followed you for 14 years, you don't know the depths of what I would have done to get rid of him. And then when I became a shaman, it was a whole different level of Michael's. It was just, yes, like I am thankful that my spirit guides and all the knowledge that I've learned. But, I realized that it made me see everything as negative. So I really just stopped wanting to practice it. So I took my shrine down. I am no longer a shaman. Don't come looking for me. So what actually happens? And people were really shocked too when they found out I was no longer a practicing shaman. Especially for the people who I've actually done ceremonies for, and they were very surprised. But I felt like during that time, I was able to have a sense of relief from all the pressure that you have on you. You have so much pressure. You have so many people watching you. You have so many people having expectations of you. People change around you, and you can feel it and sense it. And people who you really relied on or were really close, they become afraid of you because they know what you're capable of now. So they become afraid because they don't want you to see them. They don't want you to hear their thoughts. And I don't want to hear it either, okay? So what happens now? Like, you took your shrine down, what happens? Like, what happens to the shaman? What happens to the person? Like, and blow is when your spirit guides punish you. They gave me a break. So I became very good at communicating with my spirit guides. And I can communicate with other people's spirit guides too. Like if I'm around a shaman, I can see them and I can talk to them. And it's just, I became very good at communicating with them where I bargain a deal. So if you are somebody who was like me, you're born into it, and especially if you accept it and you put your shrine down, they will only allow you to do it on certain circumstances. And then that night I had a horrible nightmare. I had a nightmare that off in the distance, there was like this huge mountain, and there was a white dragon. And he was huge, and he was floating away from the mountain, and then he was coming towards me, and then he was like landing on the ground. And this is like a dirt road I'm on, okay? And then as he's landing, he turns into a snake. And I start running. I am running. Years pass, you guys, in this dream. Years have passed. I am running. So finally, I'm so tired of running, I see this old man on the side of the road. And I'm begging the old man, like, help me, there's this snake. He won't leave me alone. He's going to kill me. And the old man told me, why are you running? And I was like, because it's a snake. It's chasing me. And he was like, but have you ever considered stopping? Do you know what would happen when you stop? And I was sitting there like, you're kind of right. So I stopped. I stood right next to that old man and I watched that snake approach me. And I didn't run. I just stood there. And the snake wrapped itself around me. And then, boom, I woke up and I heard a voice as if it was me talking out loud right now. And it said, we will be back in X amount of years. And then I lay there like, oh my God, you couldn't have just told me easily. You had to terrorize me in my dream. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So, yes. And I am well aware, like, seeing demons and seeing ghosts now, it's a nuisance for me because it's a reminder of basically what I am, a big part of me. And I know one day they will come back. And I know what is expected of me. But I feel like now, because I'm grown up, I'm an adult. They gave me that time that I needed because they realized it was a lot on me. Like, even if you are with somebody, like your partner, they will never fully understand everything you're going through. They just can't fathom it. They can't grasp it. So you're constantly holding all of this pressure and all of this expectations, and people are constantly relying on you. It's very hard for a partner to fully understand. And like my boyfriend now, he asked me one day, he asked me, why did I quit being a shaman? And I remember I just looked at him and I'm like, I was so tired. Like, I'm so tired of constantly fighting. When you're a shaman, especially if you're a shaman who is similar, because, no two shamans are the same. If you are similar, somebody who could enter the spirit world and you could fight things, you are so tired of fighting demons. I am so tired. It is constant, and they don't understand the amount of emotional stress you go through. It's because nobody else is carrying it for you, and they don't fully grasp the situation, how dire it is. Like, imagine if I failed, like, imagine if I went to the spirit world and a demon defeated me. Like, you can physically go into a lot of harm. So I actually have heard of shamans who have gone to comas for like weeks. And, I'm not trying to live that life. So for me, I understand my calling. Okay, I understand my duty and what I'm supposed to do. And I also know that I do not allow shamanism to take over my whole life. A lot of shamans, they will make it their whole life. It's so lonely, you guys. You're living with spirits forever. If you do things they don't like, they can punish you. Like, I can't eat raw food because they don't let me, you guys. That's another thing to know. I can't eat raw food. They will literally make me throw up if I eat raw food. So that's why I can't do sushi. I want to eat sushi, but I can't. Like, all my sushi is cooked. All my oysters are cooked. Everything I eat is cooked, because if I eat raw stuff, I will physically throw up. So they will make me throw up. So it's like, yeah. They have conditions about you. And if you guys notice, like, in my life, people who come over to my house, all of my designs in my house, like, the wood is all white. Mostly everything is white and black or gray. In my entire house, I will have spots that are red, but everything else is always black and white. And it's very clean because my spirit guides like it to be clean. They like white and black, and they like the red. So that's why I have it. Only my clothes that I wear is colorful, but the clothes that I actually wear to work, I'm always in black, white, or grays. Those are the color schemes I'm always in. It is very rare you'll ever see me a different color beyond those three colors. I may sometimes wear blue or red. I love red. I wear red dresses, but other than that, it's so it's like they are a part of your personality, and they will do these things as well. So yeah. All right, you guys, that is my ghostly vlog update. I had to try and shorten this a bit, but thanks for watching. Until the next one.